attendees, the other option. All right, all panelists and attendees. There you go. Cool, just 2 minutes out, folks. Anybody just joining us? I know right when it hits about 7, we see a big spike in people coming into the room, so we're gonna hang back to start on time. But anybody that's joined us in the last couple minutes here, just letting you know, make your way to the chat button to all panelists and attendees. Make sure it's all panelists and attendees. This way we can interact with you here in the chat. Tonight's gonna be a really fun workshop. We're gonna have our Associate Director of the School of Fashion Styling, Flore Morton, here tonight. So it should be a lot of fun. I hope that we have a lot of fashion folks in the house tonight. In the chat, everybody here, I'm guessing, is anybody here already enrolled in the university? How many people here are looking to attend soon for fashion? Anybody out here for in the fashion school right now? All right, there we have some representatives here. Perfect. All right, so just one more minute here and we're gonna go ahead and get started. Perfect, yeah, I see a lot of people. My daughter's applying. All right, wonderful. Thank you for putting your faith in us here. Great, so I do see people that are starting to trickle in here. And then we'll go ahead and get started with just one more announcement here at 7. So for those of you joining us, just make sure that you're making your way to the chat button and adjusting to all panelists and attendees. And if you haven't already, give it a shot. I still see some folks that are stuck on all panelists. So try to do your best to go to all panelists and attendees. And we'll go ahead and get started. It's right here at 7 o'clock on the dot here. So my name is Hector Verdugo. I'm the Senior Vice President of Admissions here at Academy of Art University. I want to welcome you all for being here and spending your evening with us. We're delighted to have you all. So I know that everybody here is interested in learning a little bit more about fashion styling. So before we get started, I do want to throw out a few links for students out there. For those of you on Instagram, I want to make sure that you're able to follow our department here. So its Instagram handle is Academy U Styling. So check that out here. Make sure that you save that if you want to follow the department here. We also have a website. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link in, but feel free to save those there. And make sure that you can always go back and learn more about the program and the department. I also want to go ahead and throw in a couple other links before we get started. Right here is a link to upcoming events. So any of you that are looking to check out any online events that we're hosting, that right there will have a calendar of the different events. We're always adding new ones, so just make sure to check back. It is on a calendar format, so make sure when you click through, you can see the different months. But I know that there's a bunch of events that we're going to have scheduled for June. Last thing I want to do is throw this out there. Anybody that's looking at the school, if you have not already applied to school here and you're thinking about joining, after the event, if you'd like to set up some time to talk and learn more about the university and the programs and how everything is done here, I'll be your main point of contact. So I did put my email in there. I'll be more than happy to sit down with any student possible and basically get to know more about what they're looking to do, try to help them out. So just make sure to take down my email. Feel free to send me an email if you'd like to set up a time to talk. So as we go ahead and get started here, let me introduce the star of the show here. So once again, we have Flore Morton here, the Associate Director of the School of Fashion Styling here tonight. So Flore joined the Academy School of Fashion in 2006 and has built the BFA Fashion Styling and MA Fashion Art Direction programs from scratch while teaching portfolio level fashion design, fashion styling, and photo shoot production. During her 20 years in the fashion industry, she has designed knitwear, woven, leather, swimwear, and accessories for Martin Margiela, as well as Jean-Paul Gaultier and Hermès women's ready-to-wear department in Paris. She has expertise in tailoring, dressmaking, knitwear, leatherwear, swimwear, accessories, and styling. She holds a master's in fashion design and art direction from Duperré in Paris. She is also managing the photo shoots and styling for 180 magazine and leading the School of Fashion Exchange programs. So without further ado, I'm going to hand this over to Flore. My name is Hector Verdugo. I'm the Senior Vice President of Admissions. I'll be here in the chat to answer your questions. Make sure to ask as many questions as possible. Let's make it fun and interactive. And I'll hand this over to Flore, and I'll see you all in the chat. Thanks, Flore.
All right. Thank you, Hector, and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much to join this workshop. If you're here, I suppose that you're interested in knowing a little bit more about styling. So it's a very fun workshop. We are gonna lead you through the different process. You're gonna be a little bit in my head today, and you're gonna be a little bit with me in a photo shoot as well. So I'm gonna, before going to the workshop, I would like to introduce you a little bit to the styling program and why you're gonna see what you're gonna see today, and why at the Academy we want you to succeed and how you're gonna be succeeding. So I will be sharing my screen. So there's several things that we teach. We are a team of very experienced instructors and staff and photographers, and you will learn, of course, on how to style an outfit within a concept and creating images. What's key to success is to have a portfolio. And if nobody knows that you have good styling because the pictures are good, nobody's gonna know that you have good skills in styling. This is a school where we have also a photo department. We have fashion design, fashion journalism, and all the students are working collaboratively to create wonderful fashion magazines and to help each other. So you're gonna meet a lot of people to collaborate with, either you're on site or even if you're online. You will start, produce and art direct photo shoots and videos throughout your education and create fashion magazines. You will train to style for fashion brand, advertising, personal clients, and celebrities, even people with disability. You will style women and men and also learn some skills in photography, hairstyling, makeup, social media, marketing, so many different skills. So really what's important, and that's what you're gonna see in this workshop today, is to really empower you guys. And you're gonna start by learning how to style. And while you're at school, we really encourage you to intern, even take a fashion job in a boutique or online. And that's what you're gonna do while at school. You build your portfolio, but you really start to build your resume as well, build your network, meet collaborators. And you pass this really within a few years to become head stylist, fashion editors, etc. And we want you to exit the school having paid jobs. So it's really working with your instructors, building a portfolio, but also entering the industry before you leave. And it works. So here are some of the companies that hire fashion styling students, and there's a lot more, of course. Some of the publication of our recent alumni or even students include Paper Magazine. One of our students based in LA has landed several times on the cover of Paper Magazine, has styled several times for Interview Magazine. And the photo shoot you see right here for ID Magazine, it was a student in her senior year. Another student styled Iggy Azalea for Galore Magazine, or on the bottom left that you see for actual Vogue Magazine, etc., etc., etc. So it works. There's a methodology to this madness. And hopefully, if you join the school or if you're watching us and you're already in the program, you're going through the motion. So you're gonna have several courses that lead you there. The main styling ones are gonna be the first styling class, where you're gonna be collaborating with photographers and styling on mannequin and really discovering the key styling skills that you're gonna build in upon for future time in your education. You're gonna learn the skill of personal styling. You're also gonna learn how to do hair and makeup on your own, which is really important because sometimes you're gonna jump in to do it on set, or you're gonna be collaborating with very skilled hair and makeup artists to communicate with them. It's very important. You're gonna learn product styling on the bottom here, which is very important for Instagram and also for e-commerce, where you're gonna find a lot of the styling jobs today, particularly with the pandemic that we've been in today. Avoiding too much contact with models and crew has led to a lot of jobs with this type of styling, and we're the only school to propose that. You're also gonna learn how to produce the photo shoot like the one that you're gonna see today. So you can really not only become an assistant stylist when graduating, you're also going to be able to become a head stylist much faster. You can take control creatively of your concept and what's in your head. And you guys will see what I have in my head and how I put it in form and what it becomes. And that's what I want you guys to do. You're also going to have an editorial styling class where you actually make magazine in groups, alone, or with me and Simon and Glass, or executive director. And coming out of this class, you really have such a breadth of creativity, you know, and how to control it. You're going to learn how to style men, of course, and build a portfolio, which is always the end goal at the Academy of Art. You also have plenty of resources. So if you come in San Francisco, we have a styling closet where you can rent. We have 5,000 garments with many major brands and also accessories that you can rent, and it's part of your classes. We have photo studios in the photo department as well that our students can rent. And we have, of course, the styling labs. 180 Magazine is also the magazine I'm the fashion editor, and our students propose their photo shoots to be published in the magazine before graduation. And it's a wonderful opportunity for students. Our fashion design student for a very long time did the fashion show, and we hope it's going to come back soon. And our fashion styling students are proposing photo shoot and get published before they graduate. So now let's go to the thick of it with the photo shoot. So being during the pandemic, there was all these strange ideas. And actually, because of the pandemic, I wasn't even sure that we would be able to do a photo shoot with model, you know, for this workshop. So we were able to, but this idea of keeping how to work with mannequins and this idea of hiding yourself, having to wear masks all the time, and also this idea of identity and covering yourself and being home. And there was all these things running through my mind and how to make it happen. And very often when I start a photo shoot, I just listen to music and I just, it starts with something. For this, it was a conversation with Simon and Glass actually, and it just led me in places. And I started to have all these images in my head, and I researched references. So I go in libraries, I always scan a bunch of things all the time, at tier, magazine, and old books, you know. When I was a student in Paris, my quest was to find these images that nobody have. And it's still a little bit like that, actually. I love scouting libraries in general. And really putting images together that echo one another to create a mood where you just feel in the photo shoot already. You use that, that's the mood board. That's also used in by other artists like fashion designers or even the photographers, etc. And it just kind of plunges you into what your photo shoot is going to be, and that's how you communicate with your team as well. So for the hair and makeup, I had some ideas from my mood board of this kind of palm tree flat hair. And you'll see what happened during the photo shoot when we were on set, how it translates. I'm going to talk about that more. And for makeup, I wanted something fairly simple, actually. Well, before the shoot, you also want to prepare how things are gonna look like on your head. And from your experience, eventually working with photographers and understanding light, understanding how to translate a mood from a mood board into something on set. So here in this case, we were in a studio. You have to kind of think what is possible and how do you work within this frame, really. Everything outside this frame does not matter. So you can have a lot of things on set that nobody sees, you know. What's in this rectangle is very important. You have to think about the composition. You have to think about how the lighting is going to create an emotion, you know. How things are not too flat, but feel that they're almost in 3D as well. And this is not easy to translate. And that's why I always want to collaborate with people that I feel pretty close to and that I trust. And if you've been on set with people more and more, you barely need to talk, which is quite wonderful. We know each other, we agree on certain things, we test things out. I would be the first one to go on set and move a light and try something else, and even have the photographer give me input on the styling. I mean, it's totally fine. So when you guys will come to school, you have to find your creative family. And the creative family is made as a stylist with designers that you can borrow clothes from. Just this semester, we have our director of fashion design who contacted me and said, oh my God, my students, they cannot do a fashion show with COVID. So would your student would want to do a video and pictures for the students? And I said, of course. And our students are collaborating on that right now. So there's so many opportunities to work together. And the more you shoot with people, it becomes a bit of an addiction as well to be on set. It's a bit tiring, but it's really fun. And you keep shooting with these photographers and these friends, you know, and many of our alumni remain friends and still work together, you know. So this is something that you're going to nurture. There's going to be a hit or miss. Sometimes it's going to be a hit and sometimes it's really going to be a miss. But you have to persevere because there's people who just have the same vision as you. So we have a video actually of this workshop. So Scott, if you want to start it. So we wished we could have been live with you, but with a photo shoot lasts, first of all, if you want to have several outfits, it can last 4 to 5 hours. So I doubt that you guys would not have fallen asleep tonight during 4 to 5 hours. So what you see is the very beginning when we all arrive and we start to set things up, really. Also to dress the model, you know, we have, I mean, I have to go, you know, backstage, you know, with the model. It can take some time. So I wished I was live with you guys from Polk, but we felt it would have been a little bit easier for you to see a video. And now you can see me without a mask, actually. So what I did is I have all these ideas, you know, and I shop, you know. So I get a bunch of garments on my rack, and I didn't style everything on set. I was just putting the last touches. What I did was I started to actually style a few days before. I sourced garment 1 or 2 weeks before. So you see many pieces here from the styling closet, from outside of it, things I own as well. And we obviously have these wonderful designers at school. So I was very inspired by some of the collections that we had at Polk. So when you arrive on set, you see I spread around all the accessories on the table. I hanged all the garments on a rack. And for this purpose, I wanted to dress the mannequin. I'm going to explain you in a little bit why. I bring my styling kit. So you need to have a lint roller. You need to have a steamer, of course. You saw Danielle, my photographer, was helping me steam. But I steam a lot, you know, when I arrive on set as well. You have scissors, you have clothespins, you have clamps, anything to adjust the garments on set so the garments fit the model perfectly. There's a lot of little tricks, you know, it's not as technical as the work of a pattern maker, you know, to be a stylist, but there's a few tricks still. You need to master your steamer, you need to iron very well, and you need to make sure that the garments look $1 million, you know, on set. So what was happening is when I prepared for the workshop 2 days earlier, I dressed these mannequins to show you guys, on camera, like what you see here, the styling I was doing. But I felt they were very exciting, actually. So I ended up keeping them on set, you'll see. So I had 5 outfits finished. As you can see, I always try to play with silhouettes, proportions, always have to have a common thread in colors. Those are very much the colors I love. I mean, that's kind of a personal thing, but I mixed a lot of tools in different outfits. I layer a lot of garments. I don't put too much accessories, actually. And I had these elements of black in different proportions throughout, peach, touch of pink, yellow, black, and a little bit of white. I try also to repeat the patterns throughout. And as you can see, they don't all look the same, but they all go together. And that's really what's important about styling is when you're shooting an editorial, you need to show some variation of the same idea, but you don't want it to be too repetitive. And you want to mix also different things that don't necessarily go together. So something else I do coming on set is to explain to the hair and makeup artist, which is actually our instructor for hair and makeup that you would have. Her name is Sarah Dean, and she's wonderful. She helps us so much for many of our photo shoots at Polk. And I showed her this clean makeup and this idea of almost like buttons, on the hair. And she told me it's a wonderful idea, but it would damage so much the hair of the model because she would have to put a lot of wet product on the hair and use the flat iron on it, and it would burn permanently the hair of the model. So I said, well, look, let's not do that. So that's when you really want to work with people that you trust, because then she proposed me to use pins like that and to create strings of hair that were very flat and very heavy, that was creating a pretty similar effect. And we kept it tone on tone with the hair of the model. So when I pick models, Kali Vaseline, that's the name of the model. She's from a local agency in San Francisco. I picked her because she has this long flat hair, because I wanted to do that, which we ended up not really doing, actually. But it was actually a second photo shoot, and she was really wonderful. I actually like to work with newbie models. It's always fun. They're up for anything, and it's always something very creative and interesting. So here, Sarah started with the hair because it was pretty challenging. It took a lot of time. I don't know how many pins she put in the hair. By the end, you'll see the hairstyling when it's done. But it was extremely heavy and it took a lot of time. So that's why when I come on set, I always try to brief the makeup artist and hairstylist to tell them what to do. So while she's doing that, I can take care of my styling in my corner, steaming my garments, finishing up all the styling of the outfit if I have anything to change. Sometimes I'm gonna approach the model to make sure the shoes are the right size, or to see if I hesitate between 1 or 2 shoes. But really, you don't have time to fit the model in all the garments. You just have to hope for the best, that you pick the right model and let the magic happen. So what our students are doing at the academy, the styling student and also the art direction students, when they're shooting is they're testing with model, and it's like that. You pick a model based on a portfolio, and she comes, and you want to show. I like to show 1 or 2 days prior to the shoot to the makeup and hairstylist. How does the model look in real, without makeup, so they know exactly what they're dealing with. because sometimes the portfolio of the model, they're very caked up and photoshopped, so it's very hard to see. So I always like to share natural shots of the model to the makeup artist and hairstylist. So while the model was getting hair and makeup done, she was not done. It took an hour. It took some time. I'm always coming to the makeup artist like, is it done yet? Is it done yet? Is it done yet? You know, it's just like kids in a car before they arrive to destination. So while she was doing that, I dressed all the mannequin, and we took some pictures to have some images on mannequin, and also to test the light. So we had several ideas with Danielle. Danielle Rueda is the staff photographer for the styling program in the School of Fashion. She's wonderful. We've known each other for a very long time, and our collaboration is so seamless. And she's up for anything. I made her lay down to take pictures this time again. You know, there's always something fun happening. So while shooting, to achieve the effect that I wanted with the tool and this kind of very dystopian, you know, feeling in the image. So I wanted to have a black background. That was a given. But I wanted to have some ray of light on the side of the model. So we added this extra lighting on the side that you see here with the panel. We had to close it off with the panel to make sure that there was no glare in the camera. So we communicate that at the beginning. While they're doing hair and makeup, we're doing a thing. I try my styling in front of the light to see how the colors look in the lighting that Danielle is doing. And we test things out. The styling that I did for this photo shoot was very editorial / bizarro, you know? I wanted something a bit odd, and also I wanted to hide the model and to kind of have this public conversation, you know, about are we sick of hiding ourselves, you know, behind this mask? Or is it a new reality? Or how can we make it strange, ghost-like, or romantic, or weird? So that was all this thought process. And because I used so many masks and voiles and etc., the mannequins started to look real. They started to look like real people, and that was just so bizarre. When the model eventually came on set, we could not even distinguish her from the mannequin. And so that's when, being on set, the magic happened. Was just this conversation. I was like, oh, why don't I keep the mannequin's dress on set? Why do I have to move them away and not use them? Why don't we use them? We wanted to shoot without model to start with, and that's why we're doing all these things. So we decided to use everything. And eventually we took pictures without Callie. He was busy anyway. Again, we were waiting on the makeup and hair to be done. and eventually we started to alternate the outfits that were on mannequin on Callie. So I didn't know what would happen doing that. And really wonderful thing happened, actually. And the effect was very striking. So I always come with tons of ideas in my head on set. And when I do, I always tell my students, and it's true, half of them are garbage. And half of them are cool, you know, and if you don't try them, you're never gonna know. So, and I said the same thing to the photographer, you know, and even the makeup artist, is if you have ideas, you know, I want to hear them. And we'll try them, you know. It's I do my thing, and when I feel I have what I want, I say, okay, do your thing. I'm stepping out and do your thing, you know. And that's why collaborating with people eventually that you like what they do, and you don't you welcoming that. You don't just want to be over controlling, you just want to collaborate with people that inspire you, and you inspire them. Wonderful shots of my behind all the time. When you're styling, it's that, you know, everybody sees you from the back. It's really wonderful. So anyway, I was just setting everything up, and I wanted to create a nice composition. So I didn't want to. You always want to have things in impair number. We call it the rule of third, or rule of odds. And the fifth one was here, the model eventually coming up. So using the tool, it also helped to create this circulation between the different outfits. She was almost done, you know, like the hair is done. She has a million clips in her in her hair. She's getting a clean makeup done. It's like makeup that looks like no makeup, which is my favorite. You don't want the models to look not like themselves. I mean, sometimes you want something fun, actually. It's not true. But if the hair is pretty strong visually, I try to do the makeup not too strong. I guess it depends on the concept. Anyway, if the eye is heavy, I go lighter on the lips. And if I go with a heavy lip, you know, like with a lot of lipstick, I try to go with something lighter on the eyes. So here Kelly was finally ready. So then I start to undress this mannequin, and I brought her in the dressing room. Because of COVID, we used a lot of precaution on set. We tried to step out as much as possible. We washed hands a lot, of course, and makeup artists and hairstylists have to wear the shield, not just the mask, wear gloves and sanitize everything all the time. So it's very specific. Yeah, models can remove the mask, but that's also part of why I wanted to have mask on set is to really protect her and protect us too. So Danielle was starting to get into a groove to take pictures of Kelly with the first outfit. I tried to move her in the front, in the back. We tried different things. And you're gonna see there's quite a long part of the video that's on the first outfit. And it's because you're kind of testing the temperature, you know, with the first one. You don't know if it's gonna work. Like everything you worked for, all these ideas, again, some work and some don't. And you know, just like the hairstyling, it didn't work what I wanted, but it was actually for the best. Something else came up and it was a lot better, I think, than what I wanted. Nobody wants to burn the model's hair. I try to have static poses. I try to have movement. I try to have close-up shots. I try to have full body shots. I try to have the model looking one way. I try to have the model looking the other way. So we don't get the same profile all the time. Yeah, those are shots that Sarah was very happy about because the close-up shots, and we can see her makeup and her hair, she's very happy. So it was also for her. But as you can see, we don't know where's the model and where are the mannequins. You know, it's kind of bizarre and strange and kind of cool, actually. So I tried also for her to hold a mannequin. So we just, again, don't know if she's holding someone or if it's a mannequin. And I made a move, yeah. So with movement, you never know when you're gonna get the shot, but that's also the beauty of it. Having some movement in when you're shooting, it also helped to see the garments in different angles, and it doesn't look all the same. The worst thing for me that can happen on set, and that's why I like to work with sometimes new models, because they don't have shtick and weird poses that they used to do all the time that the agents are saying, oh, I don't know where they get that from sometimes, but you know, these stiff poses that you don't want to see. So anyway, I prefer to just kind of, you know, explain what I want. I like to have visuals to show the model. I like to do it. I make a fool of myself a lot on set. If I can do it, she can do it. You know, I get to that. So it's always a good thing to relax the atmosphere as well. But Yeah, and you have the makeup artist and hairstylist jumping on set quite often. The stylist is very good if you stand behind the photographer, so you see what the photographer is seeing. You see on the right, we have the screen. So we connect when we shoot digitally the camera to the computer. So as a stylist, it's very important, or for an art director, you get to see live what's happening. And if the mood that you have in your head is becoming reality. And back 30 years ago, you had to kind of wait for the surprise. And it's still cool, to shoot film, instead of digital film. But it's nice to see on set what's happening. I adapt my styling, I adapt everything based on what I see on the screen. If I see a styling mistake that appears on the screen, I rush, and then I fix the styling, and it's fine. You just tell the photographer, hold on, and you go and fix it. Try to make the life easy on the photographer. I try to have perfect images. And not just wait to say, we can remove this label that we see later on Photoshop and all that, or the set is dirty, there's things hanging on the floor, I don't care. I prefer to not ask much to my photographers. I just don't know what's the time commitment sometimes. So I prefer to just try to have the best image right in front of me. And that's why I'm standing behind the photographer, and I have this kind of dance, behind the photographer in front of the screen, and then, fixing the clothing. So what we tried with this outfit was really cool, is we wanted to have this kind of ghostly feel, and Danielle started to do some long exposure shot with a camera. So with the movement of the model walking, you start to see this train of light. And when there was less mannequins on set, it really filled out the frame quite nicely. So you don't want to do the same thing for every outfit. You need to have several ideas about direction in your head, that are cohesive, but at the same time different. Sometimes I try all my tricks, there is on set, but sometimes I do new stuff too, This one was quite interesting, actually. I love this outfit. On mannequin, it was cool. I don't know how to. Yeah?
Hey, I had a question in the chat. It said, are there any key differences with styling close up versus far away shots?
In general, you try to do the same. You want to make sure that you steamed your garments to perfection because wrinkles do not go away on Photoshop. It just doesn't, And you lint your garment, you put the lint roller on it, and you try to also pin the garments on the inside or on the back. You never leave your pins visible. But it's pretty much the same, you just need to know where, if the back of the garments is completely pinned because it was really big and I wanted it to be tight, which it wasn't really much the case for this photo shoot, but sometimes it happens for pants or other things. Then in this case, you really want to be careful of where the photographer places the camera. It's not so much about close-up versus full body. It's more about the angle. Like, for example, the photographer only has the seamless to work in. So landscape shots, for example, for photo shoots in studio are very hard, Yeah. Full body, fairly easy, but it's gonna be most of the time in this rectangle portrait. Most of the landscape you're gonna get in close-up are in close-up, actually. Otherwise, it's pretty difficult. The studios that we have at the Academy, they are a lot bigger, that you can capture everything. We have one on Van Ness that's just the dream studio in the photo department. But the atrium was cool too here. We have so much space. well, I didn't talk about that, but the location that you're seeing is at the School of Fashion. It's at a building at Polk. It was a concert hall. So we're on the behind the seamless is the scene, and where we were shooting was the pit, you know. And Janis Joplin played there, and Jefferson Airplanes, and U2, and many others. So it's a cool place, and we use it for photo shoots and drawing rooms, etc. So this is the one of the weirdest outfits here. I actually used the shell of a hat to put on a face to give this anonymity that that come out from wearing so much face covering. This is the last outfit. I hope I didn't bore you with my talking. I always have a lot to say. So this last outfit, we tried different ways, with hat, without hat, with face covering, without face covering. The outfit is pretty billowy and hiding a lot of a figure. So it was perhaps the most complicated one, you know, so I kept it for the end. I tried to have an outfit I like at the beginning, but maybe not my favorite, because I know there's going to be a lot of trial and error. Second and third, I love them in general. Fourth one, I absolutely love it. And the fifth one is like, oh yeah, it's cool. And I mean, when I shoot for 180 magazine or for, yeah, sometimes I have much more outfits than that. Like eventually it's only an hour and a half workshop. But yeah, something else I didn't talk about styling wise before we stop the video is I chose almost combat boot style. They're not combat boots, but they're flat black boots. I'm not always a huge fan of high heels with dresses. I think it's a little bit overdone and too pompous, you know. I don't really like to style things that look like somebody's going out on Saturday night. It's not really that interesting. So editorial styling is a little bit more abstract. You want to create an emotion. It's not just about being flattering on the body. It's more about creating a mood, translating the trend and the zeitgeist of what's happening in fashion, what's happening in a time. So you can mix inspiration that are a little bit more out there. And I use that a lot in the styling. That's kind of how I was working when I was a designer back then, and how I was teaching design. And that's kind of how I teach to stylists as well. You have to find different references, and how does that gonna translate into the outfit and as a whole. It's just a different way of expressing your ideas, you know. It's about fabrics, colors, and proportions and silhouettes. So that's the final result. So that's the pictures that we got from this photo shoot. And actually, I kind of need help from you guys. I don't have a title for it yet. So it's going to be published in 180 magazine online soon. And I'm looking for a title. So what emotion it brings to you and what you're thinking, tell me, you know, I want to hear from you. But as you can see, there's this kind of very strange feeling, and I think it reflects the mood board, definitely. And this kind of unnatural human, you know. Or maybe it's a title, I don't know. It's almost like a doll, yeah, I don't know. So it's not in any particular order. We kept it just in by outfits, you know, but we tried to get enough variety of poses, different compositions, different viewpoints. And then at the end, it can be you if it's your magazine, or somebody else in the magazine that's going to choose your images and pick the ones they prefer and how they fit with one another. And that's it for a video. So I hope you guys have learned a few things, and that you were able to get in my head and see how I've been doing this photo shoot. Is there any
Flore,
questions?
there's been a lot in the a ton in the chat, but
Have
really
we found
just
a title?
Yeah, a lot of people just saying love the work, inspiring. I mean, you name it. So that's been it. And I think we've set a new record for Instagram handle sharing as well. So I got some questions that I did take down though. Here, so let me give you a couple of these here. All right, here's a question from Emma out there. I'm so interested, but I don't know if I can move to California. I know that online is an option at Academy, but how would this fashion styling major work online?
Well, it works online because I'm teaching online too, and it's the same teachers online and on site. And you don't necessarily have the same resources as on site with the styling closet. But for example, tomorrow we have a live photo shoot in the atrium for the editorial styling class of students who are going to be doing a photo shoot remote. And also some are just flying for the photo shoot and nothing else. And you can do your photo shoots where you are. If you close to any major city, you're going to find photographers, there's model agencies, your instructors are helping you to find local model agencies. It's obviously easier locally if you close to LA or New York, but San Francisco is kind of a provincial city, and we still have model agencies. I have students in Texas and they have model agencies there. And it's everywhere, so you have to find local resources. You have to ask help from your instructors. You have classes that help you develop these local resources. And if you really want to come for a photo shoot that we produce for you, then you can come, or you can even stay remotely and pick garments from the styling closet and have them shot like that with your instructor helping you and the photographer being there. So there's a lot of opportunities. We have meetup events every semester that are organized in during module 2 or 3 each semester, and it's global. It's all the students in photography, we're doing videos, fashion design. We also invite cosmetology schools, makeup artists, and of course all the styling students, and they can all meet remotely. And sometimes they find each other like that. And sometimes they don't, and we help them otherwise. So there's different opportunities, whether you're online or on site. There's pros and cons to both, but it's not necessarily a bad thing to do it from home. You just have to be able to get out of your house and explore the beautiful places around your home where you could shoot. There's studios, but there's nature. There's cities, and we don't have to just look the San Francisco locale. There's beautiful things everywhere. So I work this semester with a student that's in China, and she found great resources. And we just published last week a photo shoot on 180 magazine. And it doesn't matter where you are. We have a few more things in San Francisco for sure, but it's not a deterrent. Like it works, so.
Let me see here. Another question I had for you was, what was the hardest obstacle you have overcome in your fashion career? When did you get started, and what skyrocketed your career?
My career kind of started more up at the very beginning. I was at school during my master, and I was working on the side in a fashion boutique, to pay my rent in Paris. And I decided to quit in the last 6 months because I wanted to intern. So I did some internships before that, but that wasn't necessarily with the people I wanted to. And it was during Paris Fashion Week. It was fine. It was okay, whatever. But I was just obsessed with Marta Margiela. I loved his work. I wasn't like a creepy obsession. I really liked what he did. And I just applied, to work for his company. And when he was at Hermes at that time, he was designing the women's ready-to-wear. And I just decided to intern, you know, and I applied and they liked me and they came at my graduation and they liked my thesis. And then they hired me because someone, one of the person on the team was pregnant. So they needed, so assistant became, replaced her for 6 months. And then I became the assistant of the assistant. And it was the beginning, you know. I was in charge of all the helping the studio coordinator with all the fabrics and the studio coordination, and just wasn't my thing, but that's fine. But it was my foot in the door, and just don't wait for things to come your way. You have to apply, and the worst things that people can say is no, and then you move on and you just try again, you know. But yeah, that was my break, you know, and I stayed 4 years at Hermes. There was even a change of artistic direction when I was there. So I went from doing more ready to wear to doing more accessories when I was under Jean-Paul Gaultier, and that was interesting too. And that's under him that I got a bit more involved in styling, actually, because he's so fun styling fashion shows. He's all over the place. So I was like, wow, you can do that. Okay, that's cool. I didn't know you could do that with accessories and garments. So that opened my mind a little bit. And it's just pick your mentors. You're going to have good mentors at school, and you're going to have good mentors in the industry. And that's why I came in the academy. I found a creative family there and people I really admire. There's people here that worked at Vivienne Westwood. Simon and Glass was working with Alexander McQueen, and so many other great faculty. And you just want to surround yourself with people smarter than you wherever you go, and that's how you grow, you know.
So how much does the styling, modeling, and photography industry overlap in terms of what a person can do? And maybe to speak to how they're all connected, you know, in this industry.
It is and it isn't. I mean, everybody can be a photographer today. Not a good one, but you know, everybody has an iPhone or something like that. So I would say you all need to have some basic skill in photography if you go in some visual art, because you're going to need to take pictures of your artwork, or you're going to need to just work with photographers. I would say I always encourage also photographers to take a styling class, you know, for a designer to take a styling class, etc., etc. It's not so much that you need to know everything, you just need to know how to collaborate, I would say. You need to be open, you know, to work as a team, because every fashion brand, it's not just a one-person job, it's a team behind. And it's the same thing with styling, you know, you just need a stylist and a photographer, and you need a model, and it's all component of something quite wonderful. So no, it's just about collaboration, I think. And there's more and more jobs for that. I mean, the industry is voracious right now. People are going in stores, but they're really buying things online. So they need to have a lot of these visuals of collections, and they need videos, because we can't do fashion shows right now. You need to have pictures of clothes, you know, so they sell, they inspire, and you know, it's a big shift, you know, in the industry.
All right,
Any other
Flore.
questions?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of questions. I'm trying to just mine for some of these ones. When styling for editorial, do you advise to set the intention to invoke emotion?
Mm-hmm. I mean, when you're shooting clothes to sell for e-commerce, for an online store, you don't need to do that. You just need to have something that is well styled, it looks impeccable, and it looks very expensive, or more expensive than what it is, and it looks true to what it is. or people return the garments. If you are styling an editorial, it's a bit less realistic. It's more about communicating about the brand or something bigger than just buy my clothes. So people feel that they belong to something that make them dream a little bit. So editorial styling is more about creating a mood and about communicating an attitude. For that, it's important to have some reference, to have an understanding of what's happening, what's cool, what's not cool, what happened in the past, and also what you want to express. You also have to listen to yourself, to your instinct, because we're all kind of connected and we all live through certain things, or you have to trust your guts, as well, and connect it to other things as well that are happening. That's what I would say.
Not a question, but someone wrote, Flore is the most amazing and talented individual ever. I'm so glad I get to work with her. From Danielle.
Oh, well, she is too. She's
That's
creating
awesome.
the magic with me. She's wonderful.
So I had a question about internships, and another student's question was, can I work for a designer or design company while being enrolled as a student? The other student said, do you have any internships, or how do you get them? How does that work? So I feel like those are very related to each other.
Yeah. I mean, in each program, you have a portfolio class. So we teach you, how to research that. There's a lot of websites where you can research that. And you also want to track the companies that you like, their career section. That's why they post it, The smaller companies are just going to have an email for internship application, and the bigger company, they actually have internship programs and they put job postings for that. If you're at school, you can do internship for credits if you keep your GPA high enough. And that's very attractive to companies because it counts as a class. It's unpaid in general, but it also have to be educational for the student. And students can still do internships, I think, after they graduate. But I think the companies have to pay, for what I understand, which sounds fair. But the instructors are going to help you, but you also have to be self-reliant. And I mean, nobody told me to go and apply for Martin Margiela as well. I mean, because that's what I wanted to do, And you have to also apply, yourself. I mean, even Martin Margiela shared with me, he sat in the lobby for 3 days at Jean-Paul Gaultier because he wanted to work with him. And he had his portfolio under his arm and he waited. And eventually Jean-Paul Gaultier said, oh, who is this person that's so determined to meet me and to work with me? So, I mean, you have to kind of push it yourself as well and follow people you admire because you want to work with them, and if you follow stylists through your education, then contact them, They might not be posting a job at that moment, but it doesn't mean that they don't need people. 80% of the postings are actually just from spontaneous applications. So you want to be proactive. That would be my advice. But we help you, but also help yourself. That would be something else to really think about.
So maybe you can help this student out there. I'm shooting one of my model friends this week, and I was wondering what are some important poses that I should do to really have the outfit stand out and somewhat tell a story that makes sense. And would nature scenery work for an editorial shoot?
Yeah, of course. Just make sure to see if there's not like some permits, that you need to get. You can, look at, go and take your phone camera, go at the location, take pictures, but take pictures not of the location blindly. look at it like a photographer and look at the composition. And when you take the picture with your phone, think, where would the model go directly? And you can see then what would happen. What's the composition? How much of negative space do you have around the model? What's behind her? How does the texture and the color would interact with the outfit, the model, everything? And what kind of shape does the model need to create? Do you want her to be standing? Do you want to create some triangle? I mean, I try to look at it a bit abstractly, when I shoot. And if you don't know, make a move, make a move somehow. So, I mean, you have some variety, of poses. Just don't Google model poses and pick the 21st poses. That's a bad idea. That's the first advice.
Here's another question. So do you have any advice for pursuing a career in fashion and art/creative jobs? I've been told by friends, etc., that fashion and art in general isn't a stable career, but I'm still interested.
I mean, you have to feel it, like everybody has to, if that's something you want to do for your next 40 years, you have to love it. And sometimes we say that fashion chooses you, and it's not the contrary. But you have to really think. If you like it and if you're willing to work for it. I mean, maybe it wasn't like the smartest idea on my end, but I mean, I'm happy doing what I've been doing, And many students have found great jobs. It depends. It depends how you approach it, I guess. In anywhere you go, if you don't put the effort into it, it's not going to come easy. You have to work on it with your instructors. You have to believe them. You have to push yourself. And you have to push yourself to see how far you can go. If you don't push yourself, you're never going to know. And that's going to be the same before you leave school. You're going to be pushed to find internships. You're going to be pushed to find places where you can work. And once you're out there, never stop and never tell you that you're not good enough. Don't listen to it. You have to listen to yourself. If you choose something, just dedicate yourself to it. You can go and do coding. If you don't like it, you're not going to succeed in it. You have to pick something that suits you, so you're going to persevere. And once you pick it, you actually persevere. Don't flip-flop every second, because then if you flip-flop and you don't finish your education, then you're never gonna know. Sometimes you're gonna be in an uncomfortable situation where things don't go your way, or the photo shoot is not good, or whatever happened, but you have to just try and keep trying. And that's what school is for. It's for you to try, and there's tools at your disposal for you to succeed when you graduate. And I think that if that's really what you want to do, then go for it. If you just want to do because people tell you that it's cool, then you're not going to last long. So I always tell students or prospective students, you have to do what's right for you. It's your career, it's your life. But if you choose it, just stick to it. And let the negativity go. Just brush it off. Just keep going.
So, Flore, what keeps you creative and inspired?
Probably being in my zone, having time, not being stressed out all the time. Just perusing books, and walking in nature, talking with my friends. It's just life, but I like to be in contact with people who are creative. If not, I'm kind of too much in a silo. So I like to talk with people. that are creative, and it kind of reminds me when I was a student. I loved to sit in the cafe with my friends and we were redoing the world, and it was super cool. But no, I mean, to be inspired is you need to have a spark of something. It can come from a positive feeling, can come from a negative feeling. Music puts me in a zone in general. It gives me some feelings that I translate in image, and it's also trying to reproduce image of things that you've had in your head since childhood, and that's what keeps me going. I'm never done trying to put that on paper and on camera.
So Flore, I actually answered this question in the chat, but maybe you have some other things. So it says, as an MA fashion direction student, if we want to have a photo shoot for a building, for building a portfolio, is there any places, platforms, or website that we can reach out to stylists, models, or fashion designers to ask for collaboration? I actually also mentioned to use the collaboration feature in the LMS portal for each student, but are there any other places that you might recommend?
To find Stylist, I think you put the link earlier. There's aaustyling.com. It's the website of the styling program, and we feature a lot of senior students and alumni. So you're going to find a lot out there. There's quite a few Facebook groups as well for fashion creatives by city. There's something called the hhub.com. I think if you already have a portfolio, they let you in and you can find other people. There's a few platforms, And if you're a student at the academy, there's some meetups that we do as well.
All right. Is a question, is being a celebrity stylist a 24/7 job and as hectic as people say it is?
I haven't been a celebrity stylist, although I actually designed the wedding gown of Robin Williams' late wife for his wedding. But anyway, yeah, I mean, you're kind of running around, picking up samples, and there's a bunch of drama and all that, but it's quite fun too. And if the student or prospective student who's asking for that, if that's what you want to do, eventually, you want to take the personal styling class as well, but you also might want to intern in LA because that's where you have most of the celebrities. So I don't know where the student or the prospective student is from, but that would be a good idea.
All right, I'm winding down here with some more questions for you. So second part of that question though was, what is the best job as a stylist in your opinion?
Well, probably it depends what you go. If you don't want to do the same thing every day, it's good to freelance. So then maybe one day you do a fashion show styling, and then the next day you're going to do an editorial styling for a magazine. And then for 2 months, you're going to have vacation. And and then after that, you're going to have some commercial clients you're going to shoot for a week or two. So some people like that, do the hectic job and never doing the same thing. So for them, freelance styling is for them. If you want the security and have a job 9 to 5 as a stylist, then maybe being an e-commerce stylist is right for you because there's tons of sample to shoot all the time. You have good benefits. And obviously selling online is not going anywhere. So that is definitely more stable. But you tend to have this more repetitive job, So if you want to tell stories like the photo shoot I did, then maybe you want to go and work for a magazine, So it just depends, everybody has different goals. Some people want to work with celebrities, then do that. And there's, as a stylist, you can work in so many different departments because there's different kinds of stylists. So it just depends on the end goal, It's And very often students who come to us, they don't know what they want to do. So you're going to explore all the different disciplines of styling through the different classes, and then you're going to decide, and you're going to intern and see what's right for you. And it depends where you live too. I mean, if you live in a state that doesn't have as much fashion industry, there's always going to be personal styling where you are. And more and more companies are leaving the big metropolitan city to build a studio. And that's another option, you know, it's you don't have to just target the big cities.
Someone had asked, is there travel in this career or this industry?
Yes, if you're freelancing, quite a bit. Yeah, because you might have to, for example, if you're shooting the collections, the summer collection, they're actually being released on the middle of winter. And they're being shot at the beginning of winter, then you're gonna have to shoot somewhere where there's sun, you know. So there's a lot of photo shoot in LA, for example, in October and November, December. I mean, yeah, it depends, you know. There's a lot of advertising that have large budgets. If they want to shoot in the Caribbean, they're gonna do that, you know. So when you're freelancing, you're gonna have much more opportunities for travel. That's what I would say. But to make a good living as a freelance stylist, you have to assist for a while. And you might be able to travel for that, but not always. Very often it's the stylist who's going to be traveling to the city, and they're going to look for local assistants over there. So if your goal is to travel, then travel in your own time. And if it comes with the job, then cool, you know, but I don't think it's going to happen necessarily right away on the dime of the company, you know.
And let's see here. I don't know if I should ask you this. It says, who is your favorite designer you work with, and who is your favorite designer currently?
The favorite designer I worked with is definitely Marta Margiela. I've learned so much from him. The one right now, I'm actually much more interested in menswear than women's wear lately. I quite enjoy Craig Green, and I have for quite a few years.
All right. And then so I'll ask you a question of my own. So, you know, I know there's a lot of students out there that are always teetering, and they're like, should I go into this as a career? Is fashion just something that's more for fun? And I guess maybe what advice would you give to the people that are kind of teetering, saying like, you know, can I really make this a career? Is this really something that I can do for a living? And if I'm really passionate about it, should I go in that direction?
Yes, again, you have to make the commitment. Just like in any education, you're going to go. If you commit, you're going to be fine. And you only quit, and you're not in the fashion industry if you decide to quit. And the fashion industry is vast. You're going to have some up and downs, but it's an industry that you can really grow in. And the salaries really go up, 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 you know. So as a fashion stylist, maybe you're going to start between 30 or 40,000, depending on what city you're at. But, you know, if you become an art director or head stylist, you can make very good money. And it's just about, you know, there's less people at the top and you just need to persevere. You assist, you pay your dues, and you're going to get there. Many students have had and still have wonderful careers right now, even during COVID and after. We almost at the end of COVID right now. So don't stress out too much about that. And again, there's more and more jobs about shooting and styling clothes and advising people online on how to dress than being in store and just sell clothes, because there's just more and more fashion images. So it's just a growing sector of the industry. You have to listen to your heart, you know, and you also have to work hard. And we're gonna be here to help you every step of the way. And we build programs that are very methodological, so you can gain the skills a little bit at a time, so you don't trip. And so when you leave the school, you're very well equipped. I look at a lot of different schools, and you leave with a very strong portfolio and a strong network. So the rest after that, again, do what is right for you and do it, but commit. That's the best advice I can give you, because there's something good behind.
Yeah, that's really good advice, because I think that, we try to emphasize this to students that it is hard work. There's a lot to it. It's more than meets the eye, and I think that the commitment part is a huge piece of the puzzle, is being all in. And I think what that encompasses too is just doing what it takes, making the sacrifices, putting in the effort, always moving forward and challenging yourself. And I think that that's really what helps separate people with their portfolios and the opportunities that come their way. So, I tell anybody out there, if you're a student and you're looking at the school, part of the process here is we love to just meet with students one-on-one. So I can't emphasize this enough. Even if you end up saying, hey, I'm not going to go to the school, it's totally okay. But I would just beg you to send me an email to set up a time to talk, because what happens is we can go over what it is you want to do, all the different fashion programs that we offer, and at least try to help make sure that we give you the right recommendation. So no matter what your situation is, your whatever you're up against, whether it's financial, whether it's just moving or online or whatever we can do, we can at least break down what your options are going to be so that you can make sure that you make that decision. So I have a couple other questions that have come through. So let me see here. Do you have any advice for those who currently have, okay, here's a good question. So do you have any advice for those who currently have a day job in a different industry and are looking to change in the fashion industry? Any resources or network?
If you want to go in the fashion industry, having an education in fashion is a good start. Many of the students have to work on the side. I have a lot of students who have even a full-time job on the side because they have to, and or it's the second calling, for example. And it's not easy, but it's possible. What I would say also is maybe trade, even if it's just at the bottom, in a boutique or online, to do a fashion jobs, to just build your resume and understanding even a little sliver of the industry while you're getting your education in fashion. Then, because if you have to work, on the side, then, just at least make the work that you do useful for you while you're growing your skills in the fashion program that you decided on. But it's just harder without the education, because you have to figure everything out on your own. And that's kind of what I say to students, is to create this photo shoot that you saw. It can cost a lot of money if you don't have the resources or you don't know how to do it on your own. Like, I don't know, to rent a studio for one day, it can be $1,000. To book a photographer, if you don't have any contacts, it can be $1,500, and if you want to book a model, it's the same price, and a makeup artist, it's the same price. So then it's a lot of money for a photo shoot. But if you have the right resources, or you understand how it works in the industry because you're part of a program, then you can produce this photo shoot for $0 or close to zero. So it's because you know all of a sudden how to collaborate and where to find these people and how to find the clothes and how to find all of this. So there's a value in your education on how to do things smarter, and you also do it with supervision, So if you need to edit your styling, your production, your art direction, you have somebody that can help you with that. So you don't make costly mistake for a photo shoot that might not work because you just tried on your own. So you should try on your own, but I'm just saying, you pay money with your education, but the resources that you get and the methodology on how to do things, you gain so much from it that it's worth it, and you gain a lot of years ahead of everyone else in the industry than people who just assisted. I see so many people who assisted in the industry and did zero photo shoots on their own because they were just assisting people and they didn't know how to do things on their own. You gain a few years over them by getting your education here. So it just depends. You have to look at it this way too. These people who just assisting, they don't build a portfolio.
Somebody asked multiple questions about designing for culture. And it said, do you recommend using images on the internet for reference, or do you recommend using other resources like books, websites for study purposes? I actually answered this in the chat to the best of my ability, saying, if you're going to be understanding culture, you have to do the biggest 360 dive to fully understand what it is you're referencing. So I'd let you take that question, but I was trying to just get the point across that looking at images on the internet is not enough to really understand a culture. Like, you got to go into credible references, travel experience, try the food, interview people. I don't know if you want to maybe speak to your opinion on that, but I just want to make sure we give good advice with that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say what I felt when I came in my fashion school the first day. It was just welcome the students, and I just felt I didn't know a lot, and that's why I went to fashion school. And I felt that my professors knew a lot, and I was like, oh my God, it's such an uphill battle. But I spent a lot of time in the libraries and in museums, and just I got curious, I knew what I didn't know, and so I got myself educated, and I got help, of course, from my school, but I also made a decision to get out of the house. And so, yeah, it's that would be my advice: is take any opportunity you can to discover new things, to learn about the fashion industry, subscribe to Business of Fashion. You get the newsletter and news about fashion. Look at magazines. When fashion shows are back, look at fashion shows. Look at fashion videos of collection. Look at lookbook. Read from prominent journalists, read interviews of designers, read interviews of stylists, how they started and what led them to that. Read, and collect visuals that you like along the way. Take pictures with your phone of what you think is interesting around you. And create a database of visuals that you like. And that should be less effort when you actually have to pull an idea, for a photo shoot or collection or whatever. You always have a reserve of things that you've liked, Some people are sketchbooking all the time, Yeah, people are creating files on their phone of stuff they like or whatever, It's just, there's a lot of different ways.
Awesome. So a question for Mia out there. Do you recommend working with photographers and models who have a similar style? Or should I challenge myself by working with people who are completely different creativity-wise?
It depends on the concept. Sometimes I work with photographers that are very good with film. And because I want to shoot like that, so then I'm going to go and see a photographer that's good at that. If I know I'm going to be shooting in studio and I love the work that this photographer does in studio, then I'm going to shoot with this photographer for that. If I love the way that this photographer shoot nature for this fashion photography, and there's just a certain mood that they create, then I'm going to shoot with this photographer if I have a shoot coming up about that. It depends. And in terms of models, something I'm really careful about is I love shooting all ethnicities. I want to, I think beauty comes in every shape and sizes. I think I think picking a model is something important. I picked Kelly because I wanted straight hair, flat, particularly, which we ended up not doing, but that was kind of the idea. So I just requested a model with long flat hair, but sometimes you want different things, different types of models that communicate different attitudes, different emotions. I love to show all the spectrum of humanity, and there's different ideas that can come from having a different model. A model can inspire a whole shoot. A location can inspire a whole shoot. An outfit can inspire a whole shoot. It just depends. And then everything follows, based on that.
Well, I think we got to pretty much most of the questions. We have a lot of thank yous to you and people saying, reiterating that beauty comes in all shapes, sizes, and colors. So, I think there's a lot of agreement. So, question this came through: how can I contact PR showrooms and brands that I'm interested in pulling from? What's the best way to pitch?
You pitch them. Well, it's good to have a website with your work, and working with a photographer that has a good website as well. They tend to work with people who have a letter of responsibility from a magazine, or if you have a lot of followers on Instagram. I don't know, just they want exposure, but to that aligns with their ethos, So there's some companies that are very careful about what kind of exposure they get, and some companies are craving it more. I would say you can also intern a stylist, and so you're gonna go and pick up and discover all the different showrooms. So you do it for someone else, so you get to understand it before you do it yourself. But in general, it's nice to start to get published in some places, and then eventually you move on to bigger and bigger publications. And if you get this letter of responsibility from the magazine, that's kind of the goal that you want to have, because that's going to help you definitely to get a yes from the showrooms. And even sometimes they're going to lend to stylists, just because they know them and they worked with them quite often. And they know that they're very careful, and that when they say it's going to be published for something, it's actually the case. So it's also after that reputation. But the first introduction to a showroom is by going there for a stylist. You can also intern, at a PR showroom, PR office. So you get to see it from the inside and they get to know you. That's why internships are so important. You get to know things from the inside and people get to know you too. But yeah, assisting a stylist, or interning in a PR office is probably the good way to go, to really understand it from the inside and build your portfolio, and then contact them once you have a good idea.
All right. So, I mean, we're definitely, I think, wrapping it up, Flore. I think we got a lot of questions. And so, students, if you want to take a quick second too, does anybody want to throw in like a shout out to Flore and a big thank you for being here tonight as well? And I'll look for mine for any last minute questions here as well. Flore, so this one question came in while we're getting some thank yous for you. This is a general question. I understand that exposure is important for many artists, but does it matter how many followers you have on social media to get recruited or hired for a job in the art industry?
If you're freelancing, I think it's probably important because it helps you to promote yourself. Maybe if you are full-time working for a company, it's a bit less important, because maybe you're not looking for a job tomorrow. But when you're freelancing, it's always about the next gig, So you want to have as much exposure as you can. And the clients might also look if you have some followers, so it kind of increase their reach when you say that you worked with them, you know. So it's kind of the game today, you know. So we have social media classes. We also talk about Instagram in several classes as well. So as a stylist, you know how to, you get to understand a little bit more what's important, you know, about social media. But yeah, you need to be careful of what you put, but at the same time, you want to post your work. I would say your professional account, you don't want to put too many saucy images. And you want to put also inspiring visuals, you know, and things you do. Some people start early, you know, and some people start later. But I think it's important to have an Instagram page as a stylist, that's for sure.
I mean, just a lot of shout outs I've seen in the chat here for you. You know, I'd say a lot of even current students even saying big shout out for you being an amazing teacher. They learned a lot, or this was inspiring. Appreciate your team and your time. So I would say thank you so much. And so students, one thing I do want to impress upon everybody is that just because the event's over doesn't mean that we can't help you, work with you, talk to you, go over things. So there's a lot of things that we can cover. So we'd love to do that. I'm just going to beg everybody here. One of the first things we could do is if you send me an email just saying, hey, I really want to set up a time to talk, what I can do is try to coordinate with you to answer any of your questions that you have, go over information about the program, costs of school, financial aid, connect you to your advisor, whatever I could do. I'll just make sure to be your switchboard and get you to the right people. So if there are still questions that are lingering, I have a team of people in admissions that are here to work with you to go over any questions you may have. If there's anything really specific about the program or niche questions, we can always try to connect with Flore as well as the fashion department. We're always looking at portfolio work, giving advice, doing whatever we can do to help student after student. So I would just beg you to make sure that you send me an email if you want to pick up from here and at least have a conversation, get extra questions answered, etc. So even though our event will end, we'll definitely still be in touch to go over as much as we can or whatever we can do to help you. So I did drop some links in the chat too for students. So I'm going to go ahead and throw a couple more things in there one more time. If you missed it earlier today, I know I've seen a record number of Instagrams going around tonight, but I do want to drop the Instagram account here for the styling department. So Academy U Styling on Instagram, and then as well as our website. So please make sure to follow that and to check out the website for information. I think that'll be super helpful. Any students that are looking to attend school here in the future, I would tell you email me so we can talk. But if you're interested in applying, I'll drop the link to the application for the university as well. Also, if you're in high school, so you're currently a high school student, 9th grade through 12th grade, we have a pre-college art experience program where you can take courses for free as a high school student. That link will take you right there to the application. You don't have to pay to apply. You don't have to pay to take classes. As long as you're in high school, it's a really good way to explore fashion, take different courses, and kind of get your feet wet and see if this is something that you really want to pursue for college. So, but a lot of information we can go over with that as well. So Flore, I did want to just go ahead and just tell you thank you so much for your time tonight. Personally, it was awesome to see that video and to get your narration as well as your feedback and just knowledge on the industry. So I thought it was super helpful, and I really appreciate your time tonight as well.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate everybody who came.
Yeah, we had a lot of people on here. It was like about 150 plus people here, and I'm sure there's more people on YouTube as well. So thank you, students, for taking your time tonight. Big shout out to the online education team, Francis, Scott, everybody behind the scenes, John Beeson. Thank you all so much for helping put this on. And then last but not least, Flore, our star of our show tonight. So thank you so much. And I do see some emails coming through. So what we can do is we can go ahead and end the event. Generally, what I do is I leave the chat open just to make sure that I'm kicking back all the different links. Anything that anybody missed, I'm more than happy to stay back for a few more minutes and just kick those links over to you guys if you need anything else. So there's any last minute questions, please, by all means, throw them in now so I can try to get back to you before we end the actual event.